All right, so let's dive into something pretty heavy, eh? Canada's immigration backlog.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about like over 1 million applications just kind of stuck in limbo.
Oh.
People waiting years, literally years, for their life to change. I mean, can you imagine having your life on hold like that?
I can't even imagine.
We got some brand new data from IRCC.
Okay.
Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. It's hot off the presses, November 4th.
Wow. So new.
And the new immigration levels plan, that dropped October 24th.
Big changes.
Big changes are happening. So our mission today is to really get a grip on this backlog.
Right.
How big is this thing really?
Yeah.
What types of applications are the most affected?
Right.
Is Canada's plan to fix this thing actually going to work?
Good question.
And what does it all mean for you, our listener?
Yeah, for the people.
First, let's just confront the sheer size of this thing. Okay, so as of September 30th, there are 1,097,000 applications stuck in the backlog.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And it gets worse. That's up almost 2% from just the month before.
Oh, wow.
This backlog is growing faster than a line at Tim Hortons on a double day.
It's a good analogy.
It's bad.
It's a very Canadian problem. So I think it's important to understand what backlog actually means. When we're talking about IRCC,
Oh, right, yeah.
we're not just talking about any old delay. A backlog means applications that have completely blown past IRCC's own service standards,
Okay.
the time frame that they set for processing.
So it's like IRCC is giving themselves a deadline and then just totally missing it.
Well,
And they're aiming to process 80% of applications within those standards, but they've said that they might not hit that target.
right.
So, I don't know, it seems a bit like setting yourself up for failure, doesn't it?
Well, that 80% target is important, but IRCC also acknowledges that, if they get way more applications than there are immigration spots available, things can get kind of messy.
Right.
Processing times, they naturally stretch out, and that contributes to this huge backlog.
Okay, so let's break down this backlog a bit. So we've got two main categories: permanent residency and temporary residency applications.
Okay.
On the permanent side, there are 816,000 applications total, with 305,200 of those stuck in the backlog. So that's over 37%.
That's a big chunk.
Huge chunk. But then on the temporary side, even worse. Out of 1,411,700 total applications, a whopping 753,700 are backlogged.
Wow.
It's over 53%, more than half. What's the deal with that?
It is interesting, isn't it? You see permanent residency, that's often seen as kind of the holy grail,
Oh, yeah.
of immigration. It's more desirable, way more competitive. So it's possible that IRCC is actually prioritizing those applications, putting more resources towards getting them processed.
Makes sense.
Temporary residents, while still important, might not be getting the same level of love.
It's like there's this hidden hierarchy within the system itself.
Kinda, yeah.
But you know what? Let's move beyond just the numbers for a second. Let's look at the people.
Yeah.
Because behind each one of these applications is a person, their story,
Yeah.
dreams, hopes, just hanging in the balance.
Real people.
So take express entry, right? That's a popular one.
Mm-hmm.
For skilled workers, and even though the current backlog is actually lower than IRCC's target, it's still a big delay for a lot of skilled professionals who want to make a life in Canada.
Absolutely.
Then you've got spousal and partner sponsorships. The backlog's right at the projected level, but think about it. Families kept apart
Yeah.
by these processing delays.
It's heartbreaking.
It's not just paperwork, it's keeping people apart. And then study permits, 36% backlog. That's a lot of students.
A lot of students missing out. Yeah.
Missing out, their future just up in the air. And work permits, 47% backlog. That affects businesses, individuals, everybody. It's a real mess.
Yeah, everyone loses. And that's why, for anyone listening who's thinking about immigrating to Canada, this backlog, it's something you really got to think about.
Yeah.
It's not just a number, it's a roadblock.
For sure.
And it could really throw a wrench in your plans.
So what is Canada doing about this massive backlog?
Yeah.
One big thing is this new immigration levels plan.
Right.
It sets immigration targets for the next few years. But here's the thing. They're reducing the targets for permanent residents. Is that a good thing? I don't know.
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
On the one hand, reducing those spots, it might ease the pressure on the system in the long run. But what about the people already stuck in the backlog? Are they going to be okay? Will their wait get even longer?
It's tough. It's like trying to fix a traffic jam by just suddenly closing a lane. Sure, it might help later, but it's going to cause even more chaos right now.
Right, exactly.
So IRCC is trying some other things like this study permit pilot project. It's supposed to speed up judicial reviews for rejected study permits. Sounds good, but it's pretty limited.
It is, and what's interesting is that it kind of points to a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Sometimes applicants actually have to go to court just to get their applications reviewed.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy, right? It shouldn't be the only way. It makes you wonder what's really going on behind the scenes.
It's like they're so overwhelmed that people have to fight just to be considered.
Basically.
Okay, so we've also heard about some other initiatives like prioritizing essential workers, extending post-graduation work permits. These sound good, but are they enough?
I mean, they're steps in the right direction, but it feels like we're putting Band-Aids on like a giant wound.
Right.
To really fix this, we need to address the root causes, not just the symptoms.
So what are the root causes?
Good question.
Is it just too many applications, not enough resources? Or is there something deeper going on?
That's what we need to figure out.
Okay, now things are getting interesting. We know the problem, but now we need to dig deep. What's really causing this massive backlog, and how can we actually fix it?
We'll find out.
That's what we're going to unpack next.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
I'm ready. When we talk about like the root causes of this whole backlog thing, it's hard to ignore the political side of things.
Oh, for sure.
Like take the reduction in permanent resident targets that could be because people are worried about immigration levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Immigration is always a big issue, and now we've got this global talent war going on. Countries like Canada, they got to walk a fine line.
Right.
Trying to get those skilled workers, but also got to keep the public on board.
Right. It's a tough balance.
It makes you think, like, how do we even measure if an immigration system is working? Is it just about processing times, or is it more than that?
That is the question, isn't it? I mean, obviously, everyone wants a system that's fast. Nobody wants to see people waiting forever.
Right.
But we also got to think about, are the decisions being made? Good decisions. Are we getting the right people for Canada? Are families being reunited like they should be? Are we helping refugees? Those are all important parts of the puzzle.
Yeah, it's more than just speed. It's like we're trying to balance speed and fairness, and those two things don't always play nice.
They don't. It's a tricky situation.
So let's think about the people listening for a minute.
Okay.
What does all this mean for someone who wants to come to Canada right now? What advice do you have?
First thing, do your research, like really understand the process for the specific way you want to immigrate.
Okay.
Be realistic about the wait times, build that into your plan,
Right.
and most importantly, be ready mentally. This could be a long and messy process.
So patience is key.
Definitely.
But is there anything people can do to make things smoother or improve their chances?
Absolutely. Getting professional help is huge. A good immigration consultant or lawyer can be a lifesaver.
Right.
They can help you build a strong application, avoid mistakes, and fight for you if things go wrong. It's like having a guide through the wilderness.
Yeah, a guide who knows all the shortcuts and the dangerous spots.
Exactly.
So even with the best guide, it's still tough.
It is. And that brings me to my next point, mindset. Moving to a new country is a big change. It's not always easy.
For sure.
You'll hit bumps in the road, you'll have doubts, but if you're mentally prepared, you can handle it.
Okay, so we talked about what individuals can do, but what about the system itself? What needs to change to make Canadian immigration more efficient and fair? What's the big picture solution?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, there's no easy answer.
Right.
But there are a few key things. One, we got to fix the staffing problem at IRCC. They're understaffed and underfunded. They're trying to do a huge job with not enough people or money that's not sustainable.
It's like trying to run a marathon with no shoes.
Pretty much. And then there's the technology, the current system. It's all paper-based. It's slow. It's inefficient. It's 2024 for crying out loud.
I know, right? We live in a digital world. Why is immigration stuck in the past?
A modern system would be faster, clearer, easier for everyone.
Okay, so more resources, better tech.
Yeah.
What else?
We need to look at how we choose immigrants and the paths they can take. Are the rules still relevant? Do they match what Canada needs? Are we being fair to families and refugees? These are tough questions, but we got to ask them.
It's like looking at the map and asking, are we going the right way?
Exactly. We got to make sure we're on the right track.
And this isn't just a Canadian problem, is it?
Nope. A lot of countries are facing the same challenges. It's a global competition for talent.
So how is Canada doing in that competition? Are we winning or losing?
That's what we need to find out.
Okay.
If we want to stay competitive, we got to make sure our immigration system is the best it can be.
So we've got some ideas for solutions,
Sure.
but it sounds like a lot needs to change. Is there like a sense of urgency around this, or is this a long-term thing?
Oh, there's definitely a sense of urgency. I mean, the longer this backlog sticks around, the worse it is for everyone, people, families, the whole economy.
Right. It's like we're at a fork in the road.
Yeah.
Keep doing what we're doing
Yeah.
and fall behind, or make some big changes and try to build a better system.
Exactly. And those changes got to happen everywhere. We need the government to step up with money and resources.
Yeah.
We need people to see immigration as a good thing, not a bad thing, and we need to keep making the system better for everyone.
Sounds like a lot, but it's important stuff, right?
Yeah.
This is about people's lives, the future of Canada.
Absolutely. And it's not all doom and gloom. Other countries have fixed their backlogs.
Really?
We can learn from them.
It's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
It looks impossible at first, but if you work at it, you can find the right pieces.
And the picture we're trying to make is a Canada that's strong and welcoming, a place where everyone can succeed.
So we've gone deep into this backlog. What's the main takeaway for our listeners?
I think the biggest thing is the backlog. It's just a symptom of a much bigger problem. It's about how we manage immigration in a world that's constantly changing.
Right.
There are no easy answers.
Right is all connected.
Exactly. And it's a big challenge, but there's hope too. If we talk about it, if we push for change, if we try new things, we can make a system that works for everyone.
So it's a call to action, not a reason to give up.
Right.
We all have a part to play in shaping the future of immigration.
Yeah, if you couldn't agree more.
Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive today. We've explored the ins and outs of Canada's immigration backlog, the human side of it all, and some ways to maybe fix it, but this is really just the start of the conversation.
It's been great talking about this with you, and remember, the journey doesn't end here.
There's more to learn, more to discuss, more to do.
Absolutely.
So stay curious, stay involved, keep asking those tough questions, because by working together, we can build a better future for Canada and for everyone who wants to be a part of it. Thanks for listening.